What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode one, not the Phantom Menace, but episode one of the Cool Yo Jetz podcast. I'm your host, Dzuve, and I'm beyond excited to finally get this thing rolling and get this thing launched for you guys. It's been a long time coming. I've been in the lab cooking a bit for this, and what better way than March 27, 2026 to finally get this show on the road. So, again, you're probably asking yourself, sports podcast in 2026, how original? Yep, very, very original. Never been done before. Some would say I'm a trailblazer of this particular craft and paving the way for others like me, since this has never been done before. But all jokes aside, yes, this is going to be a sports podcast with some sports talk. We're going to be covering the NFL, the NBA, NHL, and MLB for right now. Again, I know it's March 27, 2026, as I stated. Yes, there's March Madness going on. Well aware of that. Yes, there's F1. There's NASCAR. There's a bunch of different sports going on. You got to start somewhere, people. Okay? So we're going to do those core four for right now. As the time goes on, who knows where this might take us. There's some people I know that are very knowledgeable in all different realms of sports. So I'd be happy to get them on here when we go in those directions. But for the time being, it will be those four sports. Being that this is the pilot episode, this is also sponsored to you by... Yep, you guessed it. Nobody sponsored, and it's brought to you by. So maybe down the line we get somebody in there, but some would say that's a vet move, knowing to acknowledge the sponsors that you don't have. So we're rolling with it. But with this episode, you're, as the listener, viewer, if you will, you're going to get to know me, my background, kind of my why, the teams I support, and the direction of what this podcast is going to be going with. So as I mentioned, super excited to say that. What separates me from every other sports podcast out there is I am the only person that's going to be rooting for all four of these teams together. Not three out of the four. I'm the only person that has all four of these teams that I root for as a collective unit because they're different, they're vast, controversial with some instances. If you're from California, you're probably going to know why. But yeah, I'll give you the background for that, and I'll share a couple of fun stories here along the way. So getting into myself, always awkward to talk about. Moi, I am a washed-up Division II college football player from Humboldt State University, now known as Cal Poly Humboldt, but for me it'll always be Humboldt State University because that's what's on my diploma, and that's where I went to school at the time. I started off in the junior college route. I went to Sierra College, where dreams are made. If you know, you know. And from there, walked on at a Division I university where I was on the team for about less than a week. 90% of it was my fault and accountability that I'm taking. I am putting 10% on the university blame. I have to do that. I can't take full credit for my disappointment. But in doing so, it gave me the opportunity to finish up my career at Humboldt State just due to different rules and regulations from Division I to Division II. I still had that opportunity to play there and finish out my career. And I met incredible people along the way, both an all athletic department, men and women's sports. There was a ton of great people. The trainers were awesome, and just the students there too. It's a different crowd, different group of people. It's as far Northern California as you can be without getting to Oregon, right on the coast. So weather there, summertime, beautiful. You get the redwood trees, get the forest vibe, you get beaches, all that. Then you get about 2 weeks of no sun and very depression kicks in. But, you take the good with the bad. So, yes, and I also am well aware of the stigma that comes around Humboldt State and the surrounding areas, and I will have plenty of more stories along the way with some of those stereotypes that you will be encountering with too. So, but yes, I am a lumberjack. Go Jacks, and that's a little bit about me. My grandfather, though, he was a professional baseball player, pitcher in the 50s. So I did do some baseball growing up. For people who know me, and for those who don't, you can probably relate to somebody who you know in this particular field. I was what you call a hothead growing up. So what I mean by that. I was the kid that may or may not have thrown a helmet or bat or two, maybe both at a time. I'm just saying maybe, maybe not. So baseball, I got burnt out, and football was my main passion. I decided to proceed from there. But at the same time, my love for the game never went away. Watching it, supporting it, cheering for it, that never went away. But just, I think when you're a young lad with some hormones going on and some other things, it just wasn't the right fit for me. And there's times I regret it, but at the same time, knowing what my grandfather did for the game of baseball and his impact on it was really cool to see, and something that I can cherish with his last name and going from, representing it in a different sport for the time being. So my grandfather, as I mentioned, was in the 50s. He played for the Cleveland Indians. Yes, I know they're the Guardians now, but he played for the Indians and played for the Cincinnati Reds, the Detroit Tigers, and the Baltimore Orioles. Most of his success, if I can speak, that'd be great, right? If I can speak on a podcast, that'd be fantastic. But success came from playing with the Baltimore Orioles. He led the league in saves in 1956 with a grand whopping, wait for it, 16 saves. Yes, I know nowadays that number is very minute compared to what the role is for relievers and closers to this day. But back then, if you are familiar with the game of baseball, which I hope you are if you aren't, but if you aren't, pitchers were expected to throw the ball until their arm came off. So he kind of transitioned it to a new role and is in the record books, which is an unbelievable thing to see, and that will never be tarnished and will never go away. So he did pass away in 2014. So rest in peace to my grandfather, coming up now on 12 years since his passing. And again, within this particular episode, I'm going to share 2 really quick stories with him. But first, here's an ad break. And the ad's done. Okay, shout out to that ad right there. So the first story I'll share with my grandfather is that let me back it up. So 2 years ago now, in 2024, as I'm scrolling through social media, came across this particular page that had a video of AL MVP Bobby Shantz, good old Bobby Shantz, who was signing cards at a show, I guess, if you will, if you consider those a show. I don't know. Anybody in the comments, you can let me know if I guess it's a show. But either way, there was a person who approached him with their binder full of baseball cards. Bobby opened it up and he's looking and he's going down memory lane. You can tell the wheels are turning. He's recognizing faces. You can tell he's recognizing moments that he's had with them. And one of those particular moments was my grandfather's baseball card on there. And the AL MVP stopped and recognized my grandfather and said his name. Now, to some, that might be a very minor recognition, if you will, but to me that was all time because that was in 2024. I believe the post was in September of 2024. My grandfather passed away in August of 2014. I'm sorry, my grandfather passed away in August of 2014. The post was September 2024. We're on the same page now. Okay, so it's about 10 years since his passing, and that was just a really cool moment to see him being recognized again and just talked about and having that legacy live on. So really cool. It was over Tops. I got to give them a shout out. TOPPS is the Instagram that I saw it on, I guess, if you will, the Instagram profile on that video. So really cool moment, and just, shed a little tear for 10 years after his passing to just have that resurface. So cool moment for him. The second story I will finally get into now was the first time we really played catch, and we just moved into my childhood home. Our backyard was dirt, so there was nothing in the backyard at this time, and myself, my dad, and my grandfather decided to go out in our backyard, just toss the ball around, have a little Field of Dreams moment, a little Kevin Costner and his pops, but we just infiltrated with a third person. So the 3 generations of Zuvrinks, if you will, just having a nice catch. And my dad looks at him, and he goes, "Pop, throw him the knuckle." What? Throw me the what? Like, I'm 8 years old. Granted, as I mentioned, I was a little bit of a hothead, but I was like, you throw me whatever pitch you want to throw me, Grandpa, I'm going to get it. All right, because that's how confident I was, and that's what I can do. Still having really no idea of what a knuckleball is, truthfully. My grandfather was in his late 70s, and to this day, threw me the nastiest knuckleball I've ever seen in my life. That bad boy just danced with no spin and caught it. Now, I did catch it. I want that to be on the record. I was 1 for 1 in catching a knuckleball thrown by a professional baseball player. Okay? So I did do that. However, mind blown. Never seen a ball that didn't spin and travel the way it did. Obviously, I'm 8 years old. We're not doing that. But my brain was like, well, I can do that. If you can do that, I can do that, Grandpa. And he kind of had a smirk on himself. Didn't even show me how to grip it. He just said, okay, throw it. My dad's having a nice little laugh as well for it, but didn't even know how to grip it. I just got it, threw it. Some would consider it a ground ball that I threw my grandfather because it didn't do anything but just dive straight to the ground and roll to him with tons of spin. So not only did it not even get more than 2 feet to my grandfather, but it also didn't even spin. So, or it spun way more than it should have actually not spun. Yeah. So why am I telling you this? One, I want his legacy to live on because it still, from a time or two, will. And just know that he had the nastiest knuckleball that you will ever see. And he is in the Grand Rapids, Michigan Hall of Fame. So for any of my Michigan listeners out there, if you are there, he's in it. So take a look at his stats, his legacy. Grew up in Holland, Michigan, and the Flying Dutchman, as you will. But yeah, it's awesome. That's the reason why I wanted to share both of those stories, because I just think that the impact he had and who he is as a person will always live on. So love you, Grandpa. Shout out and thank you. So again, now would be another good time for a ad break. So brought to you by nobody. Okay, we're moving on. So the plan for this podcast, I will plan on dropping these every Monday and every, I guess, Saturday now, because I will want to record Sunday and I want to record Friday. Why am I doing that? One, to wrap up the week on Monday, what I'm going to foresee as well going forward. And those are all subject to change. Okay. I'm just trying something out. I don't know when the dates I'm going to do, but I know Sundays for sure will be recording days, with Monday dropping the episodes. The second day will be to be determined, because I still do have a full-time job that I got to pay the bills with until this maybe pays the bills for me. Just saying. But that is the plan right now. So with this being the pilot episode, again, the direction of where I'm going to go, plan on, as I mentioned, covering the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. Boom. We are going into, well, we have opening day right now. That's kicked off. So we'll get into opening day weekend. And NHL and NBA are going to be pushing right now for that postseason. Whoever's going to get in that last spot. Postseason playoffs are coming about, and I am so excited to freaking sit on my couch with a nice cold beer and just slouch and watch every single game, for that matter. NFL, as you guys know, free agency has kicked off. If I can speak, I think that's what we'll see a biggest improvement with from episode 1 to episode 2, is being to articulate my words and speak well. But it kicked off, pun superintended on that, earlier here this month. And again, draft coming up. So we'll get into all that fun stuff. The teams that I think that had the best signing, my team in particular, if you haven't already, the most impactful signing that they had, the most underrated signing that they have, and my expectations now going for the season. So that's what we'll be doing for the rest of this episode, getting into the weeds of the teams here. And might as well just start it off. I am missing one particular artwork. Should be on the way. And there's another one that needs to be posted too that I'm going to be having. But those are all to be determined right now. So as you can see behind me, we're going to just start off right off the bat. The Atlanta Falcons are the NFL team, is the NFL team that I support, and probably the most random one out of the 4, just due to where I grew up. Grew up in Northern California, so naturally speaking, it's Niners and Raiders heavy. But the state of California is so large that you get a wide variety of people that root for a bunch of different teams. So yes, I understand. I'm a Falcon fan that grew up in Northern California, where there's very little of those Falcons fans around. There's a couple, but the main emphasis wasn't there. So why did I become a Falcons fan? That if you've ever watched Interstellar, by the way, with Matthew McConaughey, that moment where he is kind of telling himself not to do something, if you will. I don't want to ruin the movie, even though it's been out for quite some time. For those who haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. But there's a moment in there where he kind of, he's saying, don't, just don't do it. I have that pretty frequently with this team of sticking with them. Again, before I get into the why I root for them, I will say I had a hiccup in 2020. I just want it out there for the people who know me that are going to roast me in the comments. Say, hey, I'm not being upfront and transparent. That is fair, so we're going to get this out of the way now. 2020, after the Detroit Lions game, so the COVID year where they played the Lions, I did not root for that team the rest of the year. Why? Had a lot of heartbreak, and it was a game where Todd Gurley scored a touchdown. I don't fault him for doing so, because it did take the Falcons, it took them a lead where they ended up, I believe, going up by 4. So they went up by a touchdown, if you will. So what everybody gets frustrated about, should have taken a knee because they could have kicked a field goal and win the game. Sure. Hindsight 2020. Yes, that could have definitely been done. But the fact of the matter is he didn't. And they still had, I think, roughly about 30 seconds left. You can correct me if I'm wrong for anybody on there for stat checking purposes. But the Lions did not have a lot of time left, and Matt Stafford went down, I think, in 4 plays and scored a touchdown to TJ Hawkinson to win the game. And as a Falcon fan, that just scratches the surface of everything to come with rooting for this team. So I threw away a hat, coffee mug, and a pair of slippers after that game and said I was not rooting for them and that I was going to be a free agent fan. I think with that year in particular with COVID, I think I should get a little bit of a grace just due to, I don't know, everything else. But I re-signed as my fandom with that team, and now I've made my bed and I'm laying in it, and it's not a comfy bed right now. So the why, though, transitioned into the good times growing up with it. I was a fan of the Dirty Bird dance, and when they were an underdog with the Minnesota Vikings and went to the Super Bowl that year. That was my first kind of real moment of watching this team. I loved their uniforms, loved the Dirty Bird dance. They were an underdog. Thought it was a really cool, kind of cool and different team to cheer for at the time. And, obviously they lost that Super Bowl, John Elway. But the moment that they did and the run that they had was just something I always loved. And then Michael Vick, shout out to Michael Vick, man, my favorite player growing up, and he went to the Falcons, so all the stars aligned where I wanted to continue to root for that team. And the funny part is once his incident happened, again, I was still young enough to where maybe I've shifted gears a bit, but no, I stayed true for it. Matty Ice came in, and from then on, just, we had some great moments, and he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm happy for where he's taken the direction now. I think he's going to do incredible things with the team. And getting the thing back on track, because this particular stadium has held a grand whopping 0 playoff games. I've been to the stadium. Incredible stadium. Fan experience is great. Food is great. Falcons fans are awesome because we all unite in the same trash, if you will, on a day in and day out, week in and week out basis. So I would have loved to have gone to the Georgia Dome back in the day when that thing was rocking, but I'm not even going to say the name because it doesn't deserve it, but we got this stadium now rocking and rolling. And for me, I'm hoping it gets back on track. I want to see Falcons get back into a instance where we can relive positive moments instead of negative. So that's my why with this team. That is going to be the most random of it. And as I mentioned, Sunday we'll get into the free agent signings, what I think they'll do in the draft, the direction they'll go, all that will be covered Sunday. But for right now, the why: cool dance, cool uniforms, underdog, favorite player went there. Why not? So next, you could probably see not as well with that is a picture of Oracle Park. So as I mentioned, I did grow up in Northern California, so there are some Northern California teams I do support. one of them being the San Francisco Giants. And greatest thing about the Giants, best ballpark in baseball. And I know that could be argued with some of the classic ones, but from a fan perspective going to the game, it's awesome. I've had so many great memories with my family, with some friends going to those games. They had the unbelievable dynasty run, the even years, 2010, 2012, and 2014 runs, where brought some championships, and Buster now taking over. Granted, this is opening weekend and we're not off to a good start, but hopefully for the foreseeable future, we can get that ship turned around and we can maybe go get us another one, But the Giants, with the moments they had, the Barry Bonds, Hall of Famer, should be a Hall of Famer. I don't even think that's a question anymore. And the Jeff Kent, who's getting recognized now, and obviously I know he's a Dodger, but the Rich Aurelia, Benito Santiago, my grandma's favorite player, I think it was. If not, I'm making it up because she loves saying the name, and I love saying the name. Just classic Benito with Jason Schmidt, Rob Nen, Russ Ortiz, guys like that just really brought the energy in a stadium that you couldn't hit a lot of bombs with. They were the great pitchers that fit that park. So, again, diehard Giants fan. So we'll get into Sunday, the recap of the Yankees series, which isn't a great one so far as we're recording this, and they just got shut out. But we'll get more into depth and the signings that they did do, what I hope the rest of the season looks for them now. And again, just an unbelievable team that has brought so much joy to my life, that I'm happy to support. Can't really see it as well up top right there, but that's a gift that was given to me by a buddy of mine. It's a Kobe Bryant game winner against Miami Heat. So yes, I am a Los Angeles Lakers fan. So before I continue, you're wondering, Falcons, Giants, Lakers, what the hell? I know. But that's what makes me different, because I can support each of them. Now, when I go to Giants games or I go to my other Northern California team, I'll say, do I say beat LA? No, I don't. Don't say the words beat LA. I'm a couple things. I'm a random sports fan, but I'm not a hypocrite. So I'm not going to be chanting beat LA, because that just to me is just weird. So yes, I'm a Los Angeles Laker fan. My mom was a single mom growing up for a while. So the next two teams I will be talking about, they had a major impact on me because of her being a single mom and me growing up. We had basic cable. Lakers were always on TV. Showtime Lakers. Enough said. Got to watch Kobe, Shaq, D-Fish, Robert Horry, Rick Fox, Devin George, guys like that, win championships, and then I was hooked. And then I moved to a city where the Lakers were absolutely hated. And I'm not saying I wanted to go against the grain just to go against the grain, but I didn't want to switch up, and I felt talking more shit was fun because they were beating the crap out of that particular team on a basis. Maybe had their biggest heartbreak, which also is why that whole city hates the Laker fan. And if you're the Kings fans, I know you know what I'm talking about. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. So yeah, just again, great memories with the Lakers. I've gone to a lot of games. I will say my in-person record watching them live is not great. So we got to get that changed again. I did go to another game this year where they lost. I went to opening night when they got Russell Westbrook against the Warriors and lost. So record in person is not great with them, but it is what it is. So again, Sunday we'll be getting into where they're at right now. Expectations I have for them, the X factor, I think, when it comes to postseason play, what they're going to have to do. So that'll all be covered Sunday to going into it. But the why part, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, just incredible moments with them and playing the game of basketball, and just the competitiveness that they had with it. So final team that, again, is not pictured here, but will be here shortly, the San Jose Sharks. So yes, the two Northern California teams will be the Giants and the Sharks. Yes, that kind of contradicts that and that, but again, my mom was a single mom for quite a bit, and I know I mentioned my grandfather earlier, so yes, I will get into that with my family dynamic. But for my mother, strongest woman I know, she was a single mom raising me for 8 years. Well, technically 6 years. And then 8 is when I had my name. Neither here nor there. But in those 6 years, her company gave her tickets to Sharks games because we lived in the Bay Area. So for nights, as a single mom and activities to do with her crazy deranged son who loves sports at a young age, we went to Sharks games, and that's where I fell in love with the game. Mike Ricci, Owen Nolan, Jeff Friesen, Mr. Freeze, excuse me, as we call him, and playing the video game on the Nintendo 64 gave it to me. Now, I will say the biggest heartbreak was this team. The Sharks have probably disappointed me consistently the most. I will say I don't think that's up for debate. The one that hurt the most was being up 3-0 against the Kings and blowing that and seeing them going on to win the Stanley Cup. That hurt for sure, especially because they were the 1 seed, and that was the year that I felt very confident that Jumbo was going to get his ring and Patty was going to get in there too. But the Sharks just have so much great memories. Being at the SAP Center, I've gone to a few games there growing up, as I said, and the experience is just nothing. You can't match that. And the Shark Tank is rocking. Everything's going. Very excited now with the direction the team is going. Again, they've in March, being in it, March 27th, as I mentioned, kind of put themselves in a bad spot for that last wild card position. But who knows? Maybe they make some run or they've ran out of gas and we're looking for next year. But this season has had some great moments watching that. So Sunday, again, we'll get into hopefully we'll look at the schedule, see what they could possibly do, what needs to happen, and just moves that they've made that I think they need to go ahead and look into some more going forward. But again, those are the 4 teams you got. So that's what separates me. That's what's going to make this podcast electric, and that's what we're going to be getting into. Overall, with each particular sport, what we're going to do on the Sunday episodes is we're going to go over game of the week. Obviously, the teams that I support and their particular games they played, but the best game of the week, best series for baseball. We're going to go into best performance from individual players who I thought stood out the most. And I don't want to go with the least part or the worst performance because, again, I want to at least promote some positivity, no matter how much I got to stay true to my guns for that. But I want to give the best performance for each sport. Again, for right now, it's going to be the main 3 until football comes back. But that's going to be the direction right now for the foreseeable future, and especially when playoffs comes, we'll dive deep into that. So, yeah, as we're finishing up this episode, again, thank you guys for stopping by. I'm not going to do no Ron Burgundy send-off. Maybe I'll come up with one eventually. But, again, really appreciate you guys, listening, enjoying it, getting to know me, getting to know the pod a bit. And this is the first time I'm saying this, so if I butcher it, forgive me. I want more practice with it. But please go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, and we're going to get this thing sent off. So thanks again. Appreciate you guys. Take care.